NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Hearings are scheduled tomorrow at Morehouse College in Atlanta into a case of fraternity hazing in which a student died. Unfortunately, the Morehouse case is not an isolated incident. College hazing is too often a deadly affair.
Fraternity, brotherhood, a new beginning.
Fraternities are trying to clean up their acts, eliminating the opportunity for hazing by eliminating pledging.
Now, with our new system, you have all the rights and privileges of a regular brother when you come in.
As long as pledging exists, you create a two-tier system of membership. And as long as there are two classes of members, there's going to be the potential or the window of opportunity for hazing to occur.
Hazing can include anything from making pledges do chores to physical and mental abuse. Last fall, a student at Morehouse College died following hazing rituals. There have been 54 deaths related to hazing in the past 10 years. Because of that, fraternities decided to take action.
We've got bans and prohibitions and resolutions. We've closed down chapters. We've done everything possible in order to get rid of something that certainly our founders never thought would exist.
Zeta Beta Tau and Tau Kappa Epsilon took the lead in phasing out pledging. More have followed suit. Just this week, 8 national black fraternities and sororities supported the ban, urging local chapters to limit initiation to ceremonial rituals. These sisters of Delta Sigma Theta believe something will be lost without pledging.
So that you can actually know the people with whom you're supposed to be bonded, and you can learn about them, they can learn about you, and you share experiences and commonalities and differences, and you come together.
When we do it, we become bonded by it.
But these guys say they've become brothers without waiting to become members.
Having the privileges and responsibilities so early makes you feel much closer to the fraternity.
There was concern among members when the No Pledge program was first announced. But new members say it was an attraction over other frats.
A lot of my friends, they hate the hazing, and they're really envious.
That pleases college administrators. While fraternities continue to phase out hazing on their own, legislation to take care of the problem grows too. There are now 38 states that have anti-hazing laws on the books, and that trend is growing. Pat Neal, CNN, Atlanta.
Fraternity, a place where a bunch of jerks hang out to drink and act stupid. To become part of the traditional fraternity, you must go through a period called pledging, which usually includes hazing. Wait a minute, a tradition? With traditions like this, many people are asking, who needs fraternities? In 1989, Zeta Beta Tau took a courageous step, making ZBT the first fraternity to abolish pledging, to get rid of hazing once and for all. After receiving a bid for membership, brothers are initiated immediately. Zeta Beta Tau, leading the way to preserving the positive fraternity life.
Our guests this week are members of a fraternity that has not only abolished hazing, they've abolished pledging altogether. I'm talking about Zeta Beta Tau, and we're going to meet the National Vice President, that's Dr. Ronald Taylor, and Delta Chapter President William Kempner when we return on this week's Talk is Cheap. Dr. Ronald Taylor is the National Vice President for the organization, and William Kempner, I'll call you Bill. Should I call you Bill?
Please.
Is the Delta chapter president from Columbia University. And the fraternity has abolished, supposedly all fraternities have abolished hazing, so this is supposedly not a big deal. But the extraordinary thing about Zeta Beta Tau is that you have abolished pledging, this long-standing tradition. How was it from when you're on the camp, because you're the chapter president, what was the experience when you got this mandate?
Right, well, it didn't affect our chapter as much as it did the other chapters around the country, because at Delta chapter we never had pledging to begin with, which is one thing that originally attracted me to our chapter in the first place. And a lot of people felt that people wouldn't be attracted to fraternities if there was no pledging, because supposedly a lot of bonding and a lot of fun things go on during that time period. But I was originally attracted to ZBT because of the non-pledging in the Delta chapter at Columbia.
When did you pledge?
My sophomore year, I was initiated into the house.
Initiated. Did they call? I'm sorry. Did they call it pledging then? There was just no hazing.
Right. Well, there was no pledging or hazing at our house.
Okay.
We didn't have a pledge period, or we didn't have a hazing period or anything like that. But all the fraternities around campus did. The campus itself was generally positive about it. It was in the school newspapers. The faculty, I think, were impressed by it. But the other fraternities around, they didn't have a negative reaction, but they didn't seem to agree with it. They seemed to like their pledging periods. Only, I think, because they had gone through it and they just wanted to be able to
pass that joy on to someone else. You had mentioned something to me earlier before we came on the air, that you had started to pledge a different fraternity.
Right.
And once you started to get into the process, why don't you tell me what happened with that?
Okay, well, I had started pledging another fraternity, and I was going through the pledging process, and it just wasn't for me. It just, nothing mean was done or anything like that, but it was just the pledge period to where I didn't feel like I belonged right away. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of put me off. And then I decided to de-pledge. There was no hard feelings, but it just wasn't right for me.
Since pledging doesn't exist, what does exist? I mean, how do people become initiated into the fraternity? I mean, you replaced it with something called the Brotherhood Program?
That's correct. What we did, sure, some great things happened during pledging. There are some positive things that happen during pledging. The problem, of course, is that there's no guarantee that what happens in a chapter this semester is the same positive thing that will happen a year from now or even the following semester, because the composition of the chapter does change and the individuals change. They're first of all going through a very rapid maturational process themselves. So what we did is in evaluating what pledging was all about, we took the good things out of pledging and we said we're going to bring those into a program that encompasses not just a period called pledging, but an entire undergraduate experience until the time the person graduates, which is what you mentioned called the Brotherhood Program.
Tommy was blindfolded and led into another room. As a pledge, he knew he faced another test of his loyalty to the fraternity, but he didn't know what it would be. He was pushed onto a cold porcelain floor. He could feel something cold in front of him.
Tommy, do you trust us?
A voice said.
Yes. Then place your hand in this bowl.
The voice said as Tommy's hand was being lowered in the cold water. Immediately, Tommy knew he was kneeling before a toilet bowl. At the same time, he felt something floating in the water.
Tommy, if you really trust us, grab it and then take a bite.
The voice said. Could he trust these people he'd only known for 3 months? Would they really do this to him? What if he refused? Could he live with the humiliation? Tommy hesitated. Slowly, Tommy raised the object, and...
Bonding? Trial by ordeal? Not at Zeta Beta Tau. Bonding is getting people together who share not by ordeal, but by common values, friends. Brotherhood never grows as fast from enduring pain as it does from respecting human dignity. Zeta Beta Tau, the Brotherhood Program.
What we have done now is something that is also rather revolutionary. We have said to our undergraduates that quality control is important, and you're right. And what we have done...
Quality control meaning exactly?
That we expect a certain standard.
Okay. Of the individual?
Of the individual within the fraternity.
Okay.
And now what each chapter in ZBT does, once a semester, so basically twice an academic year, is a vote is held in every single chapter on every single member, from the one most recently initiated to the president of the chapter. Has that person fulfilled their expectations of members of Zeta Beta Tau? And if they have not, they're expelled from the fraternity. Everyone is voted on.
So this was one of the new policies?
That's correct.
What's been the reaction to that?
I will tell you that the response from the chapters has been exciting, because what's happened is the kids can say we have a way now of getting rid of the guys who are dead weight and thugs and who are destructive to what ZBT is all about. And we didn't have that. The fact is they did have it before, but it wasn't as crystallized.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition, even if they don't expel somebody from the chapter, it is a process where they do a self-evaluation and they talk about what's going on in their behavior and whether it is the right thing to do or not. That's very important.
So there's more questioning about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Bill, what was it that you had to say about your own experience with this new quality control, like the way it's being implemented now?
Right. Well, we have this semi-annual brother review. We had it for the first time last semester. And
was this the vote?
yes, this is the vote on all the brothers. And
I take it you got voted back in. You passed.
Yeah, I passed.
Okay.
What we believed was, since it was the first one and we were implementing it, we as a fraternity said the first semester we'll make it a probation period. For the first time it's ever been implemented, instead of just kicking somebody out right away, we're just going to put them on probation, tell them, okay, this is the first time the program has started, it's the only time we're going to have a probation period, but just to let the guys know that it was for real and that it was happening. And I thought it was really a good part of the program, because there's nothing more frustrating to a brother than to vote somebody in over a period of time and then see them just fall off and not be a part of the group. And because you want your fraternity to be strong, a strong organization, you want everybody to get along, and it's very frustrating because you don't like to see your brothers like fall apart. And I think when the bad seeds do get in, it tends to bring everybody down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited about the semi-annual brother review, because it gave us the chance to say, if you're going to be in the fraternity, you got to be a part of the fraternity, and you just can't come in and then not take part.
Now with the new program, the Brotherhood program, there's something new called the 6 orders.
Right. What we have done.
So you have 6 tiers now instead of 2.
Well, it's not tiers, Marilyn. Let me explain
No, okay.
that. Okay, and it's a good question that you raised, because the undergraduates have raised that question. You're right, with a 2-tier system, which is what pledging was, as long as something was held over somebody's head, membership, they would, of course, do things that they were told to do. Now, members initiated within 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
In order to maintain their membership through the quality control of the semi-annual Brothers Review vote, they must fulfill the basic expectations for membership of ZBT. There are 9 of those, and we could talk about those later if you want. They're very simple things.
Right.
But what we're saying is that we have some great undergraduates in ZBT, as there are in campuses across the United States. And they do things that are far in excess of those basic expectations for membership in ZBT.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to recognize the exceptional actions and behavior of those people who excel. So what we have done, and all members in ZBT are equal. There is no difference between a member from one chapter to another, or somebody who may be a member of one of these orders.
Mm-hmm.
All these orders do is recognize excellence.
The ZBT College of Honors. 6 orders of achievement to recognize those brothers who have gone beyond the minimum membership standards. Service, charity, truth, justice, wisdom, brotherhood, Zeta Beta Tau.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel and Jane Pauley.
If you haven't been on a college campus lately, your idea of fraternity life may be out of date. Many colleges simply won't have any anymore, while others reflect the opposite trend. Fraternity membership has never been higher, but the system is definitely on the defensive. Animal House may have been outrageous and exaggeration, but there was just enough truth in John Belushi's brother Bluto to make it funny. But it was a tragedy that struck the Lambda Chi Alpha on the campus of Rutgers University last year. Hazing took a tragic turn. An 18-year-old student literally drank himself to death as part of that fraternity's initiation rites. And that was not an isolated incident. Some people estimate nearly 50 deaths have occurred in the last 10 years due to fraternity hazing. And at least one national fraternity is trying to do something about it. Dr. Ronald Taylor is on the Supreme Council of Zeta Beta Tau. You have realized that hazing can't be simply banned. Every fraternity in the country bans it, and yet it still goes on. So, what is your plan?
Jane, we have tried for decades to abolish the scourge of hazing. We have not been successful in everything that we have done. All the educational efforts have not helped. Finally, our national board, our Supreme Council, made the determination that the only thing left for us to do was to abolish the window of opportunity for hazing, which is pledging. So our board last fall decided that there would be no more pledging in Zeta Beta Tau, that we were going to do what was the right thing to do.
You select a new class of members, and what, within 72 hours, they become full brothers,
They
period.
are initiated within 72 hours of the time they accept a bid to join the fraternity. At the time of their initiation, they have all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of membership.
What do you think is the psychological situation that pledging sets up that allows, you call that window of opportunity for hazing?
Well, it's an opportunity for people really to humiliate each other. And fraternities are not about humiliation. Fraternities are good things. They are productive. They are positive. They add a lot to one's maturation and growth during the college experience.
This is kind of a risky step you're taking. How is it going to play with the brothers? Danny Pardo was with us this morning, a member of ZBT at San Diego State and one of the founders in 1986. Honestly, how'd the news go down with the brothers?
Honestly, it didn't go down very well at all in the beginning, and we didn't think it would work at all. We felt betrayed by our national fraternity, but in reality the program is actually a very good thing. All of the good things from the pledging, the bonding activities, the brotherhood, the education programs are still going to be there, and we've just eliminated hazing.
When you were a pledge, did you have to go through some rite of humiliation? Yes, I can see by the...
I was not a pledge at all, actually.
Oh, because you were a founder.
Right.
All right.
So I never had to be hazed. I was never...
But some of the younger guys did, and possibly by you.
Yeah, I did haze in the past. I realize now it was not the correct thing to do, and I regret what I did, but what we're going to do now is we're going to just leave that as it was, and we're going to move into the future with this
Is it going to make it more difficult for you to rush a new class?
Rush is going to be more intense for us. We're going to concentrate more on the individual, what he's done in the past, and whether we see a lot of potential for this individual. But we really don't think it's going to change that much.
What do you think? Are you prepared for some rocky times here at the start?
We have looked at all the aspects of it. Anything can happen. But actually, we are viewing this whole thing very, very positively. We think it's going to increase membership because of the very positive things that we're doing, that there are a lot of young people on the college campus who would not join a fraternity because they don't want to go through all the nonsense that pledging entails, that there's a lot more to positive things to be gained out of fraternity than that can begin immediately upon membership.
So you think ZBT is the first, but not the last?
ZBT is the first. We suspect other things will happen. We know that all national fraternities, and there are almost 60 national fraternities in the United States and Canada, and all national fraternities are very concerned about the hazing problem, and they really want to do something about it. This is just the initiative that ZBT has taken when everything else has failed.
Well, the season is upon us once again. Good luck.
Thank you, Jane.
Zeta Beta Tau, the Brotherhood Program. It works. Fraternity brothers and all those involved are happier. The first year initiations are up over 17%. Retention has increased from 80% to 97%. Expansion efforts have been dominated by groups approaching us to become affiliates, rather than ZBT prospecting for new groups. The chapters are getting rid of deadwood, deadbeats, and thugs through the quality control vote process. Grades are generally up, and most important of all, there have been no injuries in ZBT. No one has been hurt. Zeta Beta Tau. Brotherhood, a new beginning. It's the right thing to do.